My name is Michael, but the internet knows me as Lime. This summer I decided to do my first longer hike of the High Coast Trail in Sweden, a 130km long trail that I had 7 days to complete. I love doing day hikes and such, but this was the first time I would do a longer trail, and let's just say I wasn't exactly in top shape. Would I even be able to make it in time or at all? Only one way to find out. The trip started with a 6-hour drive north to the southern terminus next to the High Coast Bridge, itself a pretty impressive sight. When it was completed, it was the 7th longest suspension bridge in the world.
This is very close to the southern terminus of something called the High Coast Trail, which I'm about to hike, but not from here. We're going to take a bus, so I'm just sort of chilling here for another hour and a few minutes. Then we're going to take a bus to the northern terminus and then hike from there back to here, hopefully making it within the time I have available.
The bus turned up a bit late, then the ride north took a bit over an hour, so it was already well into the evening when I finally got on the trail. Or at least tried to. The northern terminus is in Örnsköldsvik, a small town with a train station and a travel hub, and the few signs of the trail were very unclear.
Blue markings and orange tape, apparently. That's where we're going. It was really tricky to find the way, so I've done 2.5 kilometers extra, so that's great. And of course, we're going straight up. Anyway, my hope for the day, it is almost 9 in the evening. Doesn't look it, maybe because we're far north. Sun sets very late. I was hoping to get 10 kilometers in today. That's not going to happen. But at least the first section would be nice. Onwards.
The trail is divided into 13 different sections. We started on section 13, hiking the trail southbound. It's also graded in 3 steps: easy, normal, challenging. With details about each section available, this first one being 4.7 kilometers, graded easy.
Follow the very angry hiker. It's getting dark. They have a ski jumping thing here. And the start of the trail started at the bottom, and now we're up here. Ooh. Okay. Doesn't look like there's too much up possibly left. Definitely more than halfway at least. Good luck spotting signs in that. Remember when I said there wasn't too much more up and that we had passed the ski jumping slope? Why have one when you could have 2? And we're going up there.
The higher I got, the more spectacular the view of the city, but also a doubt was quickly growing inside me.
So I got a guide for this trail, and it rates this last section, because I'm walking it backwards, it rates it easy. I'm just going to assume that they thought you would be walking down all this way, not because this is easy and the rest will be harder, because oh boy, I'm in for something.
After about an hour of hiking and 150 meters of elevation, I reached the top of the hill to find the start of the trail? At least it looked like that, even though I had actually passed the first 1 kilometer distance marker. This would be the first in a long line of confusion about the distance. It was also the entrance to the first bit of trail through nature. This was a nice forest trail that partly went over exposed rock surfaces and with some rather big boulders to navigate, descending the other side of the hill. The path eventually spilled out onto a small recreational trail next to a lake, where I took my first royal break.
Alright, this is more like it. We are out in actual nature, and the trail looks like a trail, not a bouldering puzzle. So I like it. I've done almost 5 kilometers today, but the first 2 of those, I think, about 2, were kind of just me going backwards and forwards in town trying to find where the heck the trail went. So, and then I finally found it and started going the wrong way on the trail. So, all things said, we've probably made about 3.5 kilometers today. That's far too little. So I'm gonna keep pushing. I really don't want to set up my first camp in the dark, but we're far up north. I think we have at least an hour of light left, even though the sun is setting. At least it's a lot quicker progress. I spoke too soon. Roots and rocks. Let's go. Oh, this is pretty cool though. Last rays of sunlight down there. Wait for it. The factory. That's surreal. Alright. Onwards to something a little more natural and pleasant. I guess we hit the residential area, which is nice. The slightly less nice thing is I saw a sign on the trail just back there, just before we hit this road, that said 3, with a clear marker for the High Coast Trail, which means very likely we've done 3 kilometers on the trail, and I've almost done 6. So, almost did twice the distance. Anyway. Making good pace now, but it is getting pretty late. Alright, it's 4. That means 4 kilometers. So much is up. Done 1 kilometer since the 3 mark. I believe this section is like 5.8 or something. Where are we going now? Wow. Oh, that's awesome. Guide says you're passing over a lock that does hold, even though it says you're doing it on your own risk. That was awesome though. Look at that. Not gonna lie, this is just awesome. Nice. Okay. So, we've done this part. This was her Easy. Now we're going to do this part normal, so we'll see how that goes. My intent is to go here and try to camp. We'll see how that goes. The blue stuff is side trails. Look at that. So the first part of this section is been up this cutout. Always nice to stop and look back. Mosquitoes are out in force. They don't seem to land much where I've put repellent, but they're like swarming around my legs and stuff. So really when I get to camp, it doesn't look like it, but it is coming up on midnight. It's like 11:30 or something. So, night hiking it is, even though didn't really need a headlamp or anything.
I was an hour off. It was 10:30, but I would end up hiking until almost midnight. The trail led past a small lake and then up a slope made of fist-sized rocks that would tumble and slide away as you stepped on them, making for very slow going. My GoPro started acting up too, so I don't have much footage of that part of the trail.
It's very, very, very midgy out, so I am absolutely destroyed. It's past midnight. Part of me really wants to eat, make some proper food. I'm just too tired, so I think I'm just going to have some snacks and then go to bed. Couldn't film much. GoPro's messing up. Instead, I had like 30% battery left, but then just for some reason didn't. Just turned itself off, and yeah.
In the end, I did end up making those 10 kilometers I had wanted, just not all of them actually on the trail.
Well, good morning. Still pretty tired. It's 7 in the morning. I think I got to sleep at 1. This is gonna be breakfast. I'm gonna try it cold. We'll see. I have another pack, I think, maybe a different flavor. We might try that hot. Alright, let's try the thing out. Nice and soupy. It's not bad. Not bad at all. Blueberry and vanilla. Definitely taste the vanilla. Oh, there's some actual blueberries in here. Okay. I'm actually out. I'm charging some stuff. Leftovers from yesterday. Stuff I didn't do that I should have done. But I just want to get going now. I'm gonna eat the rest of this. Probably make a little more of a time lapse, kind of the style I wanted yesterday. You'll see me packing up camp. Hit the trail.
My shelter on this trip was the Amok Drommer, a camping hammock with a sleeping pad inside, keeping the structure stable and allowing you to sleep flat and perpendicular to the hangline. It has a built-in mosquito net, and I'm also using the matching tarp in case of rain.
Alright, we are here-ish. This whole water here is that water over there. I haven't found all of these, but I found a shelter. No bathroom or fire pit or anything, but... So we're here somewhere. There's some river things here, and there is a lake here. It's not too far away. I've got almost no water in this, but I do have a fair bit of water in the bladder. No, not that bladder. The water bladder on my backpack. So, I think I might just go with that instead of grabbing water here. This water doesn't look great, and I'd rather take some flowing water. But yeah, you need to do at least this section today, and then hopefully the next one too. The next one might be rough, but we'll get going. one thing I realized from yesterday is that map needs to go somewhere else. I had it on the back of the backpack, which meant I couldn't reach it. Alright, well, I'm packed up. I've got a problem. Lost my shades. So, either they're here somewhere, and I'm just blind, which totally could be the case, but also I wasn't using it, and I hooked them onto my backpack for quite a while last night. And they were clipped on like here, and they were like not really holding on that well. So more likely, I dropped them along the way. Most likely, the place where I had sort of in panic dropped my pack and tossed on some more DEET. Now the problem is, that's a fair ways back, or at least some ways back. And I don't exactly know where, so I think what I'm going to do is, I guess, backtrack for a bit. Well, didn't find them. That also means that now I've walked more than a kilometer down a steep scree slope and then back up. Dropped my pack here, but still, that was a lot of effort. And no shades. Worst of both worlds, but I can't stay here.
The trail soon turned into a boardwalk through some more open sections of woodland with a magical beauty in the morning sunlight. Then joined up with a maintenance road.
I've just been walking this little overgrown forest road for a bit. Nothing special. Suddenly, this view just pops around the corner. That's why I'm here. Pretty dang cool. Okay, so 10 means 10 kilometers on the trail. But I figured it out. So we've actually done 13 on the trail, and I think they moved the start. Actually 13 plus on the trail, which isn't as bad. Whew. Check this out though. That's an okay view. The good news is, we made it to one of the streams. The bad news is there's no way I can get there. Or I mean, could, but not worth the climb, but to get more water, so worst case I'll have to take it out of the lake. I'd like to take flowing water, but Anyway, the views are just absolutely stunning. I think I'm just about at the bottom of this enormous decline. And then the rest of this section should be pretty flat, which will be nice. He says as he starts climbing again.
The trail emerged into the open countryside and then turned into a roadwalk on tarmac. Cars were going by fairly quickly, but traffic was light and the environment was absolutely beautiful. The lake turned out to be pretty inaccessible from the road, but just after passing that I could fill up with water at a stream. It was turning into a hot day with blazing sunlight, so hiking became quite tiring.
Made it to the ocean. Just had a break here, had some snacks. With Owl Buddy. And now it's time to go. The rest of this section is a gravel road. That's the next marker. And just where that marker is, a fox just like dashed across the road, like when I was standing here. That is so cool.
My plan was to reach the nature reserve after the end of the section, to then stop and have lunch at the shelter there. My left foot started developing a blister, but with nowhere to stop on the road, I pressed on. The shelter then turned out to be a ways into the nature reserve, so I eventually found a stone beach to stop at, where I could tend to my poor foot and have lunch. When I finally started moving again, it turned out the shelter was only 100 meters away or so. This section was my first one, graded demanding, and was 12.7 kilometers long. The trail through the nature reserve passed some smaller hills before starting a big climb to the main plateau.
Wow. About 15k in for today. Need to do probably another 6, 7. And it's like this. All upwards, all roots, all rocks. Huh. Huh. It's a cave here. I'd like to see it, but holy f. It's a bit much to call that a cave, isn't it? It's a tiny one here. Tree covers it. Okay. Probably the other way. I'm not going down there. Okay. Sounded more exciting than it was. Oh, they sure ain't getting easier. I'm sweating a river, and I'm running out of water, which isn't a good combo.
The climb totaled 180 meters of elevation gain over some rather difficult surfaces, including roots but also boulder fields.
What the heck? That's not a trail. This section was marked difficult. I think we can check that one off as correct.
Finally, a small side trail led to the very top. Choosing to do even more climbing was tough, but I hadn't come all that way only to stumble at the finish line.
We made it. That's some reward. Holy. We made it on the top. Sadly, the trail doesn't actually go here. It's like a side trail, 100 meters. So I gotta go back down, but that means at least we've all that remains is downwards. We gotta chill here for a second though. This is awesome. I finally found more water, which means the pack is now a lot more heavier. So, kind of glad I didn't carry water over the mountain, to be honest. Got attacked by a bird. Or not really. It went wildly flapping. I think it had kids there. Baby birds. And the rain is here. So the media mod is now off of the GoPro. Hopefully the sound isn't too bad. And I'm on my last GoPro battery. My phone is nearly dead. Really need to charge everything at camp tonight. But probably have like 5 kilometers to that.
Found this shelter. Had dinner here. It was pretty nice. Just took it easy for a bit. It is now 8:30. This is the view, by the way. Yeah, I gotta get going because I need to get down there to the coast and then follow it all the way basically over there. And yeah, it's 8:30. After descending to the exit from the nature reserve, the rest of the section was gravel roads to the small town Köpmanholmen. My last GoPro battery was now all but empty. According to the guidebook, camping was allowed at the ocean baths. However, when I arrived there were no signs at all. There's also camping at the marina, so I soldiered on, but that turned out to only have tent spaces, and with me hammock camping, that was a no-go. It was getting very late and I had already hiked much further than I had planned. I needed somewhere to string a hammock, but by now I was already in the town. I pushed on, desperately forcing my exhausted legs to keep walking.
In the hammock. Everything's scuffed. I hiked far longer than I thought I would today. Recording this on my iPhone too, just because. I'm stealth camped in a tiny little patch of forest inside a settlement, basically. There's industrial noises in the background. I'm not too far from a road, so far from the nature experience I wanted, but hey, I need sleep, and everything was full or wrong or whatever. So, setup is really scuffed. I really hope that it holds, because tomorrow morning it's supposed to start raining. Anyway, good night.
Good morning, folks. This is camp number 2. Scuffed. Looks pretty wild. It's a pretty dense little patch of forest. But really that way is a road. As you can kind of hear. Yeah. Some of these trucks are quite loud. Anyway, the silver lining here is that there is a store. There's a convenience store like less than 5 minutes of walk away from here. So I'm just going to break down camp and go there, restock some snacks and stuff, and grab some proper breakfast. It's going to be nice.
I don't know exactly where I crossed to get in here, but I know the ditch is a little bit much. Maybe here. Okay. And we're back on the road. Forecast says rain. Should start about now. Not seeing it. We'll see. And where you see the cars parked over there, that's the store, so that's breakfast, maybe. Although it is now 10:25, so maybe it's more lunch.
Trying to map out today's adventures. Went further than I needed to yesterday, so I could take it more easy today. I'm not sure I'm going to though, because if I push it a little bit further, I'm in really good shape to take on an extra little bit, which is up a mountain that is supposed to be very spectacular. So, yeah, to think about. But first bit is about 7-kilometer road walk, which I believe I've done about one of already. So I'm just going to try to get that done.
They have a pretty good view. Pretty good. Imagine waking up to that every morning.
According to the guidebook, this section was supposed to be mostly small gravel roads.
That's the settlement sign. That means we're about 5 kilometers in. Not much of a gravel road. It's been tarmac all the way. Hard surface. Cars swooshing by in 70 kilometers per hour. Not very nice. The gravel road sounded nicer. Most of it has been obscured by trees, which means there hasn't been a lot of views. But honestly, I'll take it today. It still hasn't rained a single drop, so I'll take the shade.
The trail soon left the main road. This section led to the northern entrance of the Skuleskogen National Park, one of the absolute highlights of the trail. I was excited for what laid ahead, and while the trail itself wasn't too exciting, it was still a rather pleasant walk along the smaller roads with the occasional view of the surrounding landscape.
Less than 2 kilometers to go till lunch break at the end of the section, and it's all going to be uphill and finally hit that gravel road. Apparently. Super friendly people here. Already had some people stop, ask if I wanted to ride, and older gentleman doing some yard work stuff and chatted to me for a bit, told me where the nice sites are, told me how to get water from this place. I'm fine with water right now, but still very nice. Super friendly people. Hey look, gravel. Finally. And now, sadly, the rest of this section is basically just upwards. They just had a massive roadworks machine cut the grass here. I'm happy they're done with this section.
Despite the rainy forecast, the day was absolutely scorching, and many sections of the road were completely exposed without any shade.
Brutal. Holy crap. And this is nothing compared to what the second section of the day is going to bring. Holy crud. Nice view though. Let me breathe for a second. Look, rain. I am less than a kilometer away from the shelter where I plan to stop and make lunch. And honestly, everything in my pack is in dry bags. I'm already drenched and overheating. So, bring it on. Yes, please. Are you kidding me? That doesn't look fun. Yeah, okay. Rain covers on. Holy smokes.
I walked through the pouring rain to find the end of the section, but no shelter. Instead, I had to keep walking a little bit into the national park to find a privy and a small shelter, where 3 ladies were taking shelter from the rain, the very same people who had stopped and asked if I wanted a ride. I stopped there for a bit, chatted to them about my hike and about the places around while waiting for a break in the rain. Then walked just a tiny ways to the larger shelter where there were some tables, a perfect lunch spot.
It's raining a little bit again. But I reached the shelter. Reached up there just as it stopped, and now walked 100 meters down here, and now it's starting again. But lunchtime.
Okay. Lunch break over. Kind of dried out a little bit. Sun's back out.
Time to go. We are now entering the national park.
Should be cool. But also the elevation map looked like a straight spike, so should be pretty strenuous. Should be cool though. Looking forward to it. I'm just like 100 meters into this and it's already really cool.
I soon got to a bridge over a small stream, a perfect opportunity to top up on water.
That looks like rain clouds. Yeah. Slippery rocks and roots. It's gonna be a long one. So it begins, I guess. I've done more than a kilometer without any uphill. I'm still basically at sea level. And as far as I know, I need to go about 200 meters up the next 3 kilometers. So that should be fun. Rain seems to have stopped, but I guess I'll keep my rain jacket on for now. Oh. It is muddy. It is very slippery. It's gonna take a while. I cannot rush through this.
The incline was even steeper than I expected, and the wet surface made it even slower going. Yet, I kept making steady progress.
Yo! Oh my god. Wow.
I spent a good while at the waterfall just taking it in. I've always loved running water. As a child, I would stop whenever we passed a fountain or water feature until my parents had to pull me away from it. Eventually, though, I had to force myself to move on.
It sure goes upward.
As the trail ascended, I started to feel more tired than I should have. I felt unusually weak.
You like rocks? Because, like, we got some rocks for you. Getting somewhere. That kind of looks like rain.
The weakness worsened into nausea as I climbed over the boulders that made up the trail past a small lake, eventually making it to a larger campsite. I took a break there, had some snacks, and spent quite a while just resting, hoping that whatever was wrong with my body would ease up. It was an absolutely stunning sight at a lake with several built-up fireplaces, tables, and even an overnight cabin. Several others were already camped there. As I rested, I even contemplated stopping and staying the night, but knew that it would put me far behind my schedule. And a nagging worry inside said, what if this gets worse? This was about as deep into the national park as I would get. Eventually, I decided to keep going. The highlight of the park, a long crevasse known as Slotterdalsskrevan, was not far away, so I kept going slowly and steadily upwards over mostly boulders and rocks.
Oh, really low energy levels today. Oh, it's hard work. I'm starting to get some reward for it, though.
As I approached the crevasse, it became more and more apparent what a popular place it is, with lots of hikers approaching. Several different trails from all entrances to the park all meet up here. As I reached it, it was easy to see why. What a cool place, with a trail running all the way through it. The scale of the rock surfaces made the boulders at the bottom look small, but then, when climbing them, I realized that they were actually huge. At the far end, the trail led up a steep staircase to a lookout point where I stopped to look back and admire the view of this amazing place. There were several alternates here leading to lookout points and peaks, but I knew that in the condition I was in, I had to skip all of that and just head straight on. As I left, the rain started falling again, and it turned out that the way down the other side was even worse than the way up. Huge boulders meant climbing down was slow and required a great deal of care, and the repeated landings with all the weight of the pack really hurt the knees. This finally gave way to an old boardwalk through some marshy areas. New lumber laid in bunches by the side, and it was obvious that it was needed, with the occasional board rotted all the way through. And then, it got worse.
Well, I'm absolutely exhausted, and the road forwards to somewhere where I can camp looks like this. Pretty cool. It would be nice if I didn't have to walk on it.
I knew I had to cut the day short, scrapped all my previous plans, and decided to take the alternate leading to the closest campsite, an ocean beach close to the southern entrance of the park. I didn't film much through the rest of this section. The GoPro was acting up, and I kicked into some survival mode where the only important thing was to keep putting one foot in front of the other to make it to camp. Wet rocks, wet rotten boards, more wet rocks. While I slipped a fair bit, it's a miracle that I didn't twist an ankle or hurt myself. I had less than 3 kilometers to go, but it took over an hour. I finally reached the alternate and headed down first some stairs, then a steep path to reach the ocean, walking into a beautiful beach campsite with built-up fireplaces, picnic tables, shelters, and a privy. I felt like I could cry from relief as I sat down at a picnic table. Instead, I just stared blankly and went through the motions. I set up my shelter, had a huge portion of freeze-dried pasta, and went to bed after the hardest day of hiking in my life. I got a pretty solid night's sleep and woke up feeling refreshed, thankful to have found such a great campsite when I needed it the most. The only downer was that the zipper to my brand new sleeping bag snapped apart during the night, which I wasn't carrying any tools to fix. Not a huge problem, but definitely an annoyance. The first section of the day was a normal difficulty section measuring 9.7 kilometers, plus the tiny bit I had left to get out of the national park. The guidebook estimated 5 to 6 hours to hike this.
Good morning. Just left camp. It's just after 9. I'm back on the trail. I did not make it distance-wise as long as I wanted to yesterday, but I did do 2 sections. Sections-wise were fine. Pretty nice camp by a very nice little beach that I didn't record much from, partly because I was absolutely destroyed. That section was probably the worst day of hiking I've ever done. Partly because it was really rough hiking, and partly because my body was just feeling like it was nauseous, feeling weak. Like, first half of yesterday was feeling great, just trucking along, and then second half was just, yeah, I don't know. So anyway, we're on the road again. Today, goal is 2 or maybe 3 sections, we'll see. There's quite short sections here, so I'd like to not have the longer ones all left to the end. But yeah, as yesterday showed, it does depend on how the difficulty is. Today's breakfast. Had some of the dried apple slices that I'm carrying as snacks before I left, but I had planned to use one of those cereal packets, freeze-dried things that I'm carrying. I have one left. But I don't have enough water. And what water I do have left, I want to keep in my camel pack, so I'll go with bar for breakfast on the move. Some cool stuff coming up also that would be nice to make it to in good time, so good thing to have breakfast on the go. Should be some water up ahead too, so I can restock. Okay, we're back out of the forest. Gravel road this time. It's probably going to be a road walk until the end of the section. We're kind of in the stretch between two national parks right now, so should be good. And that national park is a really cool mountain, which you can take an alternate and go up. But given that I'm a little bit behind where I wanted to be, there's also a chairlift up, and I really want to see the views and stuff. Since it's not on the actual trail, I don't really care about taking the extra hour to hike 300 meters elevation extra. So I'm gonna see if I can use the chairlift. That would be lovely. Jim said I was wrong. Back in the forest, we're 4 kilometers in for the day. So that was like 3 kilometers of road walk or something. Not too bad. And now it's the steep decline. And if I understood the height profile, by the way, if you're gonna hike this trail, get the guidebook or the guide, a leaflet or something. It's really good. For each section, it has both a map and then a height profile. It's really good to know what's coming. So I expect the steep decline to go for a bit, and then we're gonna have a long and rather slow incline again. So. Ooh.
The trail kept meandering through the forest like this for several kilometers, and I was happy to be in the shade of the trees on yet another scorching day. Soon that would change though, as I hit an area that had been logged, leaving a rather unpleasant surface to walk on and practically no shade.
Less than 4k to go. Not the nicest of sections. Just a little bit. Also, definitely feeling my lack of a big breakfast. There she is. That's Skuleberget, where we're heading. The mountain.
Despite being so close to the end of the section, my poor planning for the day was catching up to me, and my pace had slowed considerably. There's a restaurant at the top of the mountain, which I had been hoping to have a lunch at, which is why I kept going and was reluctant to stop. It seemed within reach, but my energy reserve was all but spent. A single protein bar doesn't fuel all that much hiking. As I reached the highway, I realized I would need to cross it. There was no bridge or underpass. 3 lanes of cars going 90 kilometers an hour. I decided to stop there, have some snacks and rest while observing the road before crossing, and then lucked out with a long gap in traffic just as I crossed.
I am just completely out of gas. Completely. There's about 2 kilometers left to go. I expect there to be a little bit of a climb at the end there, which is horrifying in the States. Usually when I start feeling bad, I can look at my pulse on the Garmin and know, okay, yeah, it's about to head up there, but now I'm feeling really bad despite having a normal pulse. So I'm basically just hobbling along the last 2 kilometers now. Give me lunch.
I kept making steady progress towards the mountains and the small museum at its base that marked the end of the section. As I approached, something seemed off. I saw signs towards the chairlift that made no sense. And as I arrived at the museum, I realized that the chairlift base was on the other side of the mountain. The silver lining was that the museum also had a restaurant, so I made the easy decision to sit down for a burger while planning the rest of my day. Despite my weakness and poor planning, I had completed the previous section in less than 4 hours, casting a shadow of doubt over the guidebook I had just recently lauded. Hiking up and down the mountain would take 2 hours and a fair bit of effort. Taking the chairlift would mean an additional 6 kilometers of hiking. I really wanted to see the mountain, but as I was pondering what to do, another cloud of worry appeared on the horizon. The weather forecast for the rest of the week was now a bit more solid, and that said, pouring rain all Saturday. I finally decided that the better plan would be to try to make additional distance to reduce the amount of hiking I would need to do in the rain. I felt a lot better after having that meal and got started on what quickly turned out to be the least peaceful section of the trail.
Sounds of nature. Peace. Calm. The next section is 6 to 7 kilometers or something like that. What was it? 6.8. It's graded normal and it's supposed to only take 1 to 2 hours, which I guess is why we're now road walking right next to the highway. But whatever. So as long as that's quick, that will be my 2 sections for the day. And I will actually be more than halfway through the trail if you... So what I've been trying to say over all the cars is that after I've done this section, I'm going to be more than halfway through the trail according to number of sections. I won't quite be halfway according to distance though. This is a little bit of a worry of mine. That means I've backloaded effort. So I'm going to skip the mountain for now. I'm going to do this section. Hopefully it will only take 1 hour or 2. I'm moving pretty quickly right now. It's also decently flat compared to most other sections, so that's probably why. And then we'll see how we feel. The next section after that is 10.5 kilometers, and that leads into a major settlement. So if I could do that today as well, one thing I'm toying with in my mind is grabbing a hotel room. Stunning scenery, but the whole section goes right next to freeway. I guess the best thing about that is there are gas stations where you can buy ice cream. Just look at the view though.
I was making good time, completing the first half of the section in only 40 minutes, but then had an issue with my foot that forced me to stop by the side of the road and remove and redo my entire care for my blister, something which took quite a while and turned out rather painful. The trail then finally diverged a bit from the freeway, past a beautiful old church and into the open fields. The sun was out in full force at this point during the day. I was getting absolutely grilled, and the light vegetation that followed also provided only the occasional patch of shade.
Most of the section was right by the road. But, it's kind of growing on me. So that's just ridiculous. Huh. 1 or 2 spiders, holy moly.
The visit in nature turned out rather brief as I came back out next to the highway for the end of the section. With my forced break and the somewhat slower pace afterwards, I completed it in just over 2 hours. The campgrounds here had a cafe, so I rewarded myself with a very tasty brownie while contemplating my options. It was only afternoon, so eventually I decided to move on and start the next section. 10.5 kilometers graded normal. Back out next to the road, but then mercifully rather soon into nature. The path was easy to walk, but again a rather long incline.
A lot of uppers has happened. Going down again, which I think is a good sign. There's supposed to be 2 climbs on this section. By the way, remember how I spoke about this guidebook, how good it was? Yeah, it was completely off on the last section. 63, 65. This is the middle point. Because there's those 2 extra kilometers I walked. Beginning. It's pretty cool. Alright, here's an epic fail. Just as I decided to go for another section, gun it, and then book a room at that hotel. Apparently they're now full booked. So here I am, almost 4 kilometers into this 7.5 kilometer stretch, with no plan where to stay tonight. So I guess I'm just gonna chill in the nature again, which has one problem, really one big problem, and that is that I'm running out of battery. I think I have 1 GoPro battery that will, I guess, kept for tomorrow. One of my power banks is basically drained. The other one has a little bit of juice left. So you can just scrape by, I think. I have solar panels for it, but it's not going to do much. Oh boy. Wow. Here it is. Halfway. Oh my god. That is just amazing. I haven't filmed for a bit now. There is a privy and stuff, like a camp. I'm gonna try to stay there. I believe it's like just over 1 kilometer left. There's also been straight upwards for a long time now. And like, I guess 25 more meters up to go. Up incline. My body's pretty spent. Just want to make it the rest of this way so I can have some dinner.
The camp was gorgeously located at a small lake with a small beach and a jetty. I had one of my big freeze-dried meals and set up the hammock. Since the way up had been a road walk, there was easy access to the site by car, and while I was sitting there, a couple came around to let their 2 cute dogs have a swim. One of the other campers set up a GoPro on the small jetty to capture a time-lapse. As the couple left with their dogs, I packed up everything and crawled into my hammock to do some journaling before going to sleep. The heavy bass beat of some electronic dance music filled the air. With the slam of a car door from the parking lot, the voices of 3 young women yelling and cheering drifted in over the camp. The owner of the GoPro just immediately got up to collect the camera. The women then came hollering and chatting through the camp as if there was no one else around, loudly commenting on just about everything. They spent a good few minutes there arguing over whether it was a good time to have a swim or not. In the end, I guess they decided not to, and left through the camp in the same type of whirlwind as when they arrived. As they walked past my drummer, one of them went, "Well, now that's a fancy tent, that's more like it." To which one of the others loudly replied, "I wonder how it'd be to f*** in one of those," before getting hushed by her friends. Well, I don't know, girl, you'd probably break your neck. All I wanted to do in mine was sleep, so I was rather thankful they left, and the camp breathed a collective sigh of relief. I woke up early to some birds making a massive racket in the cold morning after not getting as much rest as I had wanted. I had washed my hiking t-shirt in the lake the day before and it still wasn't quite dry, so I took my time, made some tea and a hot meal of reindeer stew for breakfast while waiting for the first rays of sun to reach the camp to help dry it out. The first task of the day was to complete the section I was on, heading into the small town of Ullånger. Before that was the peak of the mountain and the summit cabin there, only a few hundred meters into the hike for the day. I spent a bit of time there taking in the stunning view before getting started with a rather steep descent into town.
Well, good morning. It is a bit after 9. I'm on the trail, done about a kilometer, heading pretty steeply downwards. Now we're heading down into the settlement where the hotel would have been. There's a store there, so I'm gonna restock on some snacks, and then we'll see. There's also apparently a bakery that should be open, and a pizza place, which I would really love to have lunch at. Especially, that meant that I could also charge my devices there. So that was like half of the reason to go to the hotel. But that doesn't open until 11. So that's 2 hours from now, give or take. And depending on how fast this road into the town is, like it should be only a kilometer left, or maybe 1.5. Then I don't want to just sit there, because then today offers up 15 kilometers of difficult terrain. Oh boy, if there's anything like the difficult terrain that we saw a couple of days ago, it'll kill me. Boy, am I glad to see that. This section of the trail is entirely overgrown, so it's impossible to see what you're setting your foot into, so I've rolled an ankle a couple of times and slipped sometime. Haven't hurt myself properly yet, but it's kind of only a matter of time. So thank you very much, proper trail. And flat too. I love it.
The rest of the way into town was an easy and flat road walk. I went to the store, then decided sacrificing 40 minutes was a worthy trade for a pizza.
Alright, we're back on the trail. I did stop, had that pizza, it was glorious. Chilled for a bit, got 13% back in my power bank, a large one, so that's good. On the way out, somehow started bleeding. Don't know how, don't know why, but I had to drop the pack, stop everything. Just take care of it. But anyway, now we're going 15-kilometer section. Should start with a steep uphill here. 3 kilometers up to that cabin. That's gonna be the steep part. Oh wow. There's hardly a trail. I might take out a trekking pole here. Oh, nice stinging nettles. And spiky plants. I decided that trekking pole isn't going to help this much. Yikes. Well, where's our marker? Just holding my hands up because I don't want to get stung by these things. We're out of it! And there's the friggin' road. Could have just walked on the road instead. That turned like 5 meters before we turned. Oh well.
Because of my pizza break, it was now midday, and this was already turning out to be another scorching hot day. While it was out of the jungle of undergrowth for now, there was absolutely no shade.
Yep. Here, I guess. Starting to get the views. Also starting to get a feeling that this section is not as well hiked. And more spiders. Hard to believe that's where we just were, and the mountain on the other side is where we came from. I'm at the top now. And deforested some part here, and it's making incredibly hot. It already was, but when there was shade at least. It's going to be less warm today. I don't believe in the weather forecast at all anymore. Made it to a little tiny cottage at the top of the mountain. It's now overcast. It rained just a couple of drips. But before that, it was blazing sun the entire way up, and I just got me zonked. Good news is now it should be downhill from here, at least for quite a while, and then flat until another 100-meter mountain. At least it's not 200 like this one. Check this out. The rocks here are super cool. There's like several different types of rock, and they're all like crisscrossed and patterns like this weird rock. It's not just here, it's everywhere. But yeah, weapons ready for the descent.
The way down the other side had just as overgrown vegetation as the way up, and in even longer sections, but also some rather nice sections of trail. My left knee was starting to really hurt from all the repeated descents on the trip, and the heat had sucked a lot of energy out of me.
Came out of the bush, and just as I did, this happened. This was not in the forecast for today at all. Oh well. Road walk over, and then through some fields, and now this, whatever this is. Holy crap. I have 5 kilometers left to go. Well, this is basically impassable. And even if I could scramble my way over it, I don't know where I'm supposed to be going. So, there was a red cross on one of the signs, and I think I spotted an orange sign up higher in the hill before, so I'm going to backtrack and see if that's the way, if it's been rerouted. I don't know if there's a good resource to find out about these things, but this doesn't seem to be the right way. On the other hand, I hope the new reroute is easier. Also, check out the mushrooms. Really cool. Well, that ain't an orange sign, and this ain't a trail, so I guess we go try the other side. Climbing course it is. Okay, one more try. Way down there is a pole. It looked to me like it had a red marking on it, not an orange. But maybe I can go down there and then cut left anyway, just to get behind all of that rubble. Who knows? That way it's just barred. And at least this looks walked. Here maybe? A hidden path appears. Oh, yes. Nice. Okay, we're on the way again. I don't know how much this picks up, but the whole trail is sloped. Like you're about to roll an ankle every step.
Trail conditions were better after that, but not good, with roots and rocks everywhere. Several small but steep climbs had me thinking the next mountainous section was about to begin, only to immediately drop down in elevation again.
A bit. That wasn't a big climb. Went back down almost immediately. I'm still on this gnarly forest trail. So, still at least one big challenge left to go, I guess. With all my backtracking and confusion, my distance is now off. So I have no idea how much extra I've walked. Which means I have no idea where I am related to things on the trail, but we'll see. Anyway, that wasn't the climb. It was just a climb.
But then soon enough, the climb started for real.
Oh, I think that was it. Also out of water in my CamelBak. But I don't want to stop and fill it because mosquitoes everywhere. Alright, coming down here. I can't wait to be done with this section. It is a mess. It's overgrown, it's rocks, it's roots. It's got everything. Except the spectacular views, I guess. So, should be a store down here. And I just want to get some prepared, like actual fresh food with greens and stuff in. And then eat and feel sorry for myself. And then we'll decide what to do. I don't like the look of that. At all. Well, turns out we're going on anyway. Because trail didn't actually hit the town here. So, we're just going. I'm gonna need to stop very soon. Somewhere. And just make dinner. But then we're going. This section is supposed to be easy and take 3 hours to walk, but it's 11.5 kilometers. And yikes. We may also not do the entire thing. We'll see. The alternative would have been to rent a cabin here if they had any available. Then go and check next roundabout and then eat. If they'd had a restaurant, I'd probably done that, but nope. Here's the situation. We have just came down here. Oh. And past this. This would be where we could have camped. The campground and then, yeah, cottages and whatever. Instead, we are now here. Just about to leave this lake. So, my thinking is we'll try to walk here and see if this shelter is somewhere we can just camp in.
I was trying to decide whether to get more water from the lake. I had 550 milliliters and decided to not make food yet, which meant I could probably get by. And since it was a bit of a climb down to the lake to get water, I decided to press on without it.
I've now been hiking for 8 hours today. We're doing probably at least three more. Let's just go. Somehow, I don't know, just the choice being made for me just made it all easier. And also this terrain is a lot better. You know, come to think of it, this is a strangely long section of the trail with no prepared campgrounds and no like proper camping or privies or anything. So I wonder if that paid for camping that the trail conveniently dips into has anything to do with it. This GoPro, man. Alright, trekking along, we've hit 22.5, so it should be less than 10 from today's target. I just met a nice Scottish family. They were hikers, bent over some maps northbound, so had a little bit of a chat of where I've stayed and what campgrounds were nice and yeah, what they have in store on the section tomorrow. They'd already done 30, so they were just looking for somewhere to stay now. Very nice though. Still road walking. Still amazing views. Well, I just realized a little bit of a mix-up. Place where I was going to get water is the ocean. Don't get water there. Gonna have to find another solution then. Oh, it is literally seconds later. Guess I run a little trail shop or something during the days. But the water said, here you go, drinking water. It's amazing. Prayer's been answered. Dang, are my feet hurting? But there are worse places to be. Amazing. Status update. I've done 25.5. I think I'm like 2k away from my shelter destination for the day. And I am running out of steam quickly. And since it is a shelter at a lookout site, it's fairly certain to say it's going to be upwards. It is also 8:30 in the evening, and I've been hiking for 9 and almost a half hours. A wild preview appeared. Not marked on any maps. Super grateful though. Okay. Stagger the last few steps up this.
As the shelter grew closer, I found myself desperately wishing for it to be in an okay shape. I was near the end of this section, but the guidebook was very clear that the small settlement at the end of it had no amenities to offer hikers. So if the shelter didn't work as a camp, I didn't really have a solid backup plan.
For some reason it wasn't recording. This dang GoPro. I found it. It says 500 meters, but somebody's crossed it over and said 300. So that's promising. Anyway, let's go. I hope this is a usable shape for me. That this is not taken, nor people want to share. It's not too exposed. Really don't want to hang in a hammock when it's high gust winds like tonight. Yep. This is home, I guess. Seems nice and protected. What a view. Wow.
You see how tired I am? 'Cause I'm very tired. Should make food. The body just says sit still. But I guess food. I'm gonna put my sleeping pad, the one from the hammock, here at the back near one of the corners. I'm a little worried for like splinters or being sharp on the planks, but it seems pretty okay. I'm gonna go through them. I'm gonna pack up everything else that I don't need in my bag, and I'm gonna place it like in the middle in front of me to block even more wind if there is any. Well, that's it. These take a while to eat. They're nice because they're big portions and I need the calories, but they're all the same basically. It's like take a meal, throw it in a blender, and then eat it. It's good though. It's good. This was my longest day so far, and as I prepared for the night in the shelter, I felt proud of my accomplishment. It was absolutely protected and cozy in there, despite the wind ripping through the trees outside.
Overcast today. Use this at the moment. Wind died down for a little bit during the night, but picked right back up. Appears. Should be fine though. Yeah, day that isn't super hot would actually be really nice. Alright, just about good to go here. Clubs, hat, bag, that's all that's left. Everything is back to how it was. Last look at the view. Not bad. You could do worse. You could do worse. This shelter was fantastic. It did me well. I've made some updates to my gear. I put the media mod back on the GoPro. Decided to trust the forecast of no rain today.
We'll see how much I get to panic, take it off, or hide the GoPro. I've taken the rain cover off my backpack, and I've switched things around in these side pockets, because I noticed almost always when I dropped pack, when I didn't want to, because, you know, I wanted to rest or something, it's because I need more bug spray, so I put that in one of these side pockets. I also did find that the GoPro batteries that I tried to charge in the pack actually worked. They have 92%, both of them. So that's great. So this one, which is now on 31%, we're not going to have to ration that until the end of the trip, which is good, so I can keep filming. This side pocket is now a designated snacks pocket. It's got the bag of nuts, it's got my protein bar, but I've had the last of my water, so I don't want to start eating nuts and salty things before I find more water. So hopefully find water soon. We are here on the shelter. First order of business is to get down here to Gavik. Should be maybe 1.5 to 2 kilometers. And reasonably flat, so that's good. Then we'll switch and we'll keep going. I have no idea. I think the next one is rated hard, or like difficult, demanding, whatever word they're using.
I put on a brave face here, but my stomach was really in turmoil, placing a big cloud of doubt over my ability to progress for the day. With the forecast of an absolute downpour the next day though, every bit of progress I could make was valuable. This was made even worse by the fact that I was now entirely out of water and there wasn't as much as a hint of a stream on the map. Anyway, time to get to Gavik, but since the guidebook was very clear it had no amenities for hikers, I didn't expect much of it.
Such a beautiful place. Like, if we can do 25 of those and be within 10, or even slightly more today, that would be amazing. And it is early in the day, it's just after 10. 2 difficult sections though. 1 normal, I think. That's what's left.
The trail then led down a forest path before spilling onto a gravel road in the tiny, remote village of Gavik.
The sun is out in full force. The forecast said overcast today, but forecasts here don't seem to matter much. We're going up. Up. And the topo map, or elevation map, says up very much, or just before the end of the section, which I hope is this trough. Still no sign of water. Pretty hungry. I did drink the rest of my water, so I'm not terribly thirsty, but it's going to catch up to me if I don't get water soon. Perfect.
That water tap was at Gavik's bed and breakfast, offering housing and other amenities for hikers.
You know, it is a little bit disappointing walking past that bed and breakfast place 2 kilometers after I stopped at a shelter. Especially since the guidebook was super clear that there was no amenities, nothing here at all. I wonder how much business they lose from that. Well, here, just like that, middle of nowhere, is the section marker. 12.8, the next section. I'm gonna drop back here for a little second, switch my map around and stuff. Difficult section, I believe mostly because this is on top of a mountain, like 250 meters or something. My guess is the best thing I can do is aim for up to that mountain and then lunch. Because there was a little cottage and privy and stuff up there, so that would be a great place to stay for lunch.
But I don't know what I've been doing. I've been walking for an hour and I'm less than 3 kilometers in, and I feel like it was mostly road walks. So I guess I've just been stopping and taking in the nature and stuff, which can't blame me, right? I saw the sign from afar. I was like, there's no trail there. Couldn't even see this. Alright, we're a couple of kilometers into the section. It has not been bad at all this far, so that's good. Should be about 10 left or a little more. Looks like it might start getting more hairy. Okay, well, oh, there. The trail has vanished on me. There's a very obvious trail that way, but apparently we're following the coastline here. And that one just like vanished into nothing. This one was not very visible. Glad that happened soon, because I could have walked down that path quite a while. Oh, look at that. I mean, ignore the clear cut, but the view. So nice. Now here's the question. Fill up or not? I probably should. If I'm cooking up there, I need water. Like take half a liter or something, a little bit more. Though I hate it, but I have to. Or I guess I won't, because that tap was dry. I do need to pick up water. This is a lake by the... No, this is still the ocean. I do need to pick up more water before I hit the top though. That looks amazing. Should get a sailboat. Okay. New battery in. And I just ran a piece of the trail because I was being chased by a wasp. And it just would not give up. And if you know anything about me, I have I guess a wasp phobia. I don't know what the technical name for that would be. So here's a lake. It's actually not called a lake, it's called like a bay or something. But because the land is rising around here, it's a lake now. And it is fresh water, so I could grab water here if I could get to it. Well, I could here. But there are supposed to be a couple of streams, and I'd rather not carry water if I don't have to. So I'm going to chance it and just go for the streams instead. It's pretty cool, actually. I think this is the one where there's some species of like shrimp and crabs and stuff that only live in the ocean. But they do live here, because this was the ocean. And they're doing fine. 99. I've missed one. I was waiting for 98, because that would have meant with the extra 2 kilometers that aren't counted, I've walked 100. 29 left. Whew. I guess I'll get to celebrate when I pass the one that actually says 100. Looks like we'll be road walking this main road for a bit here. The good news about this is now I know where I am, both on the map and, well, I kind of knew where I was on the map. And more importantly, I know where I am in the altitude guide. So I know from now we're going to be climbing more than 200 meters in the span of a kilometer and a half to maybe. And then we'll be at the top, and that's where we'll take our break. Probably gonna take me an hour. It's noon right now, but that's the plan. Making good progress. This has not been a difficult section at all this far. Since it's marked difficult, I expect all of it to be this mountain. So this should be interesting. Well, there it is. 100 and bugs. And there is a distance marker, so 7.6 to the end of the section. I've done 7.8 today. So we'll be a little over 15. It's 15.4 or whatever. By the time we hit the end of the section, so that's good to know. Can't remember what's there. Doesn't really matter. Might be a store, that would be nice. But I'm not relying on it. So less than a kilometer of road walk and then mountain. Here's another turn-off point. We're like 300 meters from a store up here. Sells like ice cream and stuff. I am going to make the hard call to skip it. Stay on target today because I know the more I do today, the less of a misery I have tomorrow. So, yeah, no ice cream, at least not yet. Oh, beautiful. It's gonna start getting steep now, though. I guess you usually can't see it because I record moving forward, but if I stand level here, you can kind of see the tilt here. And we're going up this way for 200 meters of elevation. There'll be many breaks. Also, more bad news. None of the rivers that were on the map materialized. And it looks like my camelback is just drained. So I'm down to like 300 milliliters of water, which means I'm not going to be able to make food up there. It is magical. But look at those mosquitoes dancing. Time for reapplication. Well, that's desolate. Happy about the cloud cover right now. Oh, kind of trying to soldier on through this section because there's a cloud cover right now, and this would be blazing sun otherwise, and that wouldn't be very nice. Wow, that view though. Oh. How the heck did I get an ant on my arm? Dropped back here for a second. Poured the rest of my water into the camelback. I'm a little dehydrated today and it's not good. Gotta fill up with more water next time I get the chance. It's a balance out here. You really don't want to carry more than you need. But you also don't want less than you need, obviously. Gonna rest here in this swarm of flies for a couple of minutes and then upwards for halfway up the mountainside. Okay, onwards. Supposedly much steeper on this side than on the downward side, which is fine. I mean, steep upwards is rough. It takes a lot of energy. Steep downwards is painful on the knees and on your feet. So, I'd rather have it this way. Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow.
The trail up the mountain was steep, but manageable, with the condition of my stomach being the bigger worry for the day. I was really hoping that the privy on the top was in order, and tried not to stop for too long on the way.
Looks like it's time to up the challenge a bit.
I finally made it up to the top, and through a last flat section along the plateau with hints of the amazing view visible through the gaps in the trees. I reached a topside hut called Nipstugan. Its name derived from the location, called Lidenipan, a local word describing a steep cliff face. Once my stomach had had some time to grumble around in the privy, I could take a rest here and take in the view. I spent quite a while on a bench just by the cliff face, just watching the shadows of the clouds move across the landscape.
This is just magic. The weird thing is you can see this. The weird thing is you could see this like on this video, or you could see this on pictures. And yeah, it just isn't the same.
I had conquered a good bit of the trail, despite a morning where it seemed like my stomach was making more of the route choices than I was. But what a reward this spot was, and I made sure to enjoy it. As I ate what little food I had that didn't require water, my stomach kept grumbling, and the threat of the weather forecast for the coming day loomed ever darker.
Alright, well, all packed up, ready to go. I had some beef jerky, I had some nuts, I had some dried apple slices, had some water. Not sure how much I have left. We'll find out when I run out, I guess. Hopefully I'll find some more water reasonably soon. Feels sad to leave. It's an amazing place. Checked out the cabin too. I can show you the view from the window there. What a place.
But I also checked out the forecast. And now it says rain is going to start around 9 or 10 on Saturday, which is tomorrow. So we not walk without restarting my GPS. There we are. I'm like 20-some kilometers away from the end of this trip. So my current thinking is, could I finish almost all of it today and then just sleep for a few hours and then do the rest? Or could I even finish all of it, which would be my longest day, just sleep for a few hours in the car and then drive home? It would be a super rough day today. Basically another full day of hiking from now, which time-wise is not impossible, but energy-wise it's not going to be fun. But it is possible, and the question is, how not fun is that going to be compared to the not fun of hiking in the rain tomorrow? That is the question. By the way, the forecast now says it's going to start at 10. Yeah, but it also says it's going to be even worse. It's going to rain even more. Like I've been lied to. Why are we going upwards? Well, my stomach is not very happy today, so I might throw a wrench in my plans. And I am now 100% out of water. There is water, as far as I understand it, at the end of the section. But that is 4 kilometers away, so that's like an hour's hiking at least. A little depending on how bad the trail is. Hopefully there's water before that. But yeah, not the best situation. I will say that's pretty cool. Somebody wants to burn a lot of wood. The John Nils Mountain.
All right. I'll take it. And the trail just drops off the edge. Good. It's been good knowing you. What the heck? Wasn't this side supposed to be less steep? This is wild. So, we're still more than 200 meters above sea level. And there are all these boulders here. Like nicely rounded stones. Apparently, the reason why they are here is because during the Ice Age, the latest Ice Age, this land was pushed down into the earth by the weight of the ice. And as the ice receded, this was the ocean floor. So those stones have all been rolled there by the waves and then rolled back and forth across each other to smooth them out like that. So that's why they're so rounded. And like all the rocks that are here kind of ended up here that way. We're more than 200 meters above sea level. The land here is actually still rising from that event. So I think they measured it at like 0.9 millimeters per year, something like that. So I guess you can say the high coast keeps getting higher, just not very fast. All of that is fascinating, of course. Still wish that I didn't have to walk across it, because it's they're quite unstable, many of them. So it's a little bit of a puzzle. It becomes really slow to avoid injury. You have to really think about every step. I'm gonna give you, dear viewer, a unique look that nobody else ever sees. Because everybody who hikes this has to look down 100% of the time to not break their legs. Because there's just roots and stones and stuff everywhere. So I have no idea what's around here. I hope it's beautiful. That is the forest where you must not go. That way is evil.
I was joking around, but also becoming more dehydrated by the moment, and my stomach was still in turmoil and overall actually feeling pretty bad. With only 3 kilometers left to the end of the section, that nonetheless felt like a very long distance. I have a lot of footage from this section because somehow I failed to stop the GoPro recording, leading it to record a lot of footage but also to drain a sizable chunk of a battery. I felt terrible in several different ways, and the trail made all of the decisions harder because of it. It almost led to a lake, but not quite. I could see hints of the water through a rather dense section of forest, and had to make the call whether to use up extra energy working on my way through the bush to get more water, which I desperately needed.
Oh.
But I ended up deciding not to, because the stomach problems were the more pressing issue. At least on the plus side, the trail had opened up into an easily walked forest road, which meant I could keep making good pace.
Walker, please.
I pretty much decided on just gunning it as quickly as I could, ignoring all alternates and just heading to the campsite at the end of the section, where I would be able to both get water and let my stomach have some peace. But of course when I recorded something about that, I turned off the GoPro, which had been recording all along, rather than turning it on. That all happened just before reaching the sign.
Okay. On second thought, maybe I should take this alternate to go 500 meters to a cafe and food and stuff. Yes, please. Well, ain't that a beautiful sight? Oh, yes, please.
I had completely written off this alternate when planning. It led to a seaside camping site and beach, which had seemed like an unnecessary long way around. Now I was filled with gratitude for finding it, with proper bathrooms where my stomach could battle with its inner demons, a tap for proper drinking water, and a fantastically friendly lady running the place who was happy to serve me a burger. On any other day that would have been an average meal, I'm sure, but to me, this was sanctuary. The place is Hörsholms Havsbad, and I do recommend a visit if you hike the trail or just happen to be around the area. I spent a while here, trying to let my stomach accept being reasonably functioning part of my body again, as well as just resting. Eventually, the pressure of tomorrow's forecast pushed me back into action.
That was well worth it. Had some food, had a Coke, packed up 2 liters of water to not repeat old mistakes, and now I'm going. And what went down in this place must climb back up, apparently. Hey, look, this is the first blue marker I see, and it's 600 meters up in the woods. Hi, pretty sure I'm coming down on the camp now, which is the switch over to the second to last section for me. It's now 5:30, which means this next section is shorter and normal and still supposed to take 5 to 6 hours. I completed the previous section. If you remove the long break I took at the top, I completed it in under the time estimate. Best case scenario is I'd be finished with this section by like 8:30. This is the section split. There's 20 kilometers to go. Would have loved to stay here, but need to make those kilometers happen because I really don't want to hike 20 in the pouring rain tomorrow. It's nice though. And we're all walking again. 1:09. That would mean 19 left, because that's actually 1:21. Okay, so, real talk. Losing one day from Saturday being all rainy, and the pressure of that has kind of taken the enjoyment out of this a little bit for me. I'd kind of just like, I'm just looking for it to be done, which is sad. I should be enjoying it. So, there's a camping site with a shelter and a privy and stuff in like a couple of kilometers. That would put me about 15 kilometers left. If that's a nice one, I might camp there. Like, I think I've got 18 left today if I want to make it the entire way, and I believe I could do it, but it would be a slog and not enjoyable, and that's not why I'm here. So if it's a nice one, we'll take it. Otherwise, we'll move on.
As it turned out, shortly after that, the condition of the trail would take a sharp turn for the worse.
Everything about this, though. That's cool though. Nearly tripped. Just turning the GoPro on. How is this normal? Okay then, sure, guidebook, sure. I swear they've just painted orange dots on random cliffs. There's no reason it would be there, and not here, and not down there. What the heck, this section? Very slow going right now. Like, what the? Oh. Stealth branch. Oh, Jesus, not more. Jesus, what the hell? I was so happy we were in the forest path for a while. Now look what we have here. Does the trail actually go up there? That's quite the climb. I wasn't expecting that big of a climb today. Or at least if I stop before that camping, I mean before the site. Whatever, I can't talk anymore. Too tired. It's a gravel beach. Yep. We're about 1 kilometer away from that shelter place. I just had to drop back for a bit. I'm deathly tired. These boulder fields just suck the life out of my legs. It's incredibly intense to walk on them. I saw a marker for 18. I must have missed the one for 17, and the one for 16 should be coming up. So we'll be about 15 if we camp there, which is doable tomorrow. I'm just really afraid of the thought of walking over stuff like this that's become wet. Still says rain all day tomorrow. But yeah, it doesn't start until 10. So if I can get up reasonably early in the morning, break camp pretty quickly and just get going, then I'd have at least a few hours to get through some of this stuff. I think that'll have to be it. I would be stumbling like an undead through the rest of this. It has to be that campsite. I'm gonna rest here for a few more minutes, then pick up the pack and go there and see. There's the 16. I don't know if you can see them. They're just gnats swarming here. I can put my bug net on, but they don't seem to be attacking, so it's just an annoyance regardless. This is like a parkour challenge or something. I don't know if there's a way that you're supposed to take, or if you're just supposed to make it up as you go along. Jeez. I don't know if the solid rock or the scree is the worst. It just goes on and on and on. We were going way over there into this bay here. There's supposed to be a shelter. And that's probably where we'll stay, either in the shelter or hang there or just makeshift something or whatever. I don't care. Actually, kind of shelter would be better because it would be quicker to tear down in the morning. But this is super slow going. Well, here it is. We made it. Shelter's seen better days. I don't know if it can't have been meant to be that way. No. So we can't sleep here, or it would be not smart to do so. But we'll figure out somewhere to hang around here. That should be fine. got the milk set up over there. It's not perfect, but it will do. Get a few hours of sleep. I am zonked. Charging up my Garmin a little bit to last the last stretch. Got decent power in this battery, but the other one drained away. I must have left the GoPro on or recording or something. So we're basically down to one. Don't know what I have left in this, but it's probably not much. I'll charge up my phone, and then I guess I'll use whatever is left for another GoPro battery. Today's dinner, kebab stew. Only having one of the small ones because I also had that burger and fries. And this might be the last time I'm cooking on trail. Fruits muesli cereal thing. To have that in the morning and then go. Got 15k to go. I still have some nuts. I hope my stomach does better tomorrow. And I also hope that because there was such a difficult section just then that I just completed on something that was branded normal, that was the only difficult section, that the rest is going to be easy to average it out to normal. That's my hope. Well, I'm all tucked away in the hammock. Just need to get my sleeping bag out. It is 9:20. Still pretty bright out. So I'm zonked. And my back is really appreciating this laying down thing right now. So, good night from the penultimate day.
Alright. So I moved over to the shelter, put all the my stuff all over here while I was packing up. Packed away the media mod for the GoPro. Packed away all my batteries because they're all dead except the one in here, which is now at 57% or something like that. So that's what we got for today. I've also had this breakfast package thing soaking while I tore down the drummer, so that's nice and ready to go. So I'm just going to eat. 6:25. I have put... Oh, my poor feet. I have put what remains of my water into my camel pack. Everything is there now. And now it's all about making distance. And we're starting with about 100-meter climb. So it'll be fun. I am wearing a red rain jacket already. It's been raining on and off all day, all morning. Even though it shouldn't. Don't trust the forecast in this place, people. Coming up on 2 kilometers done for the day. Started raining again, and the thunder just keeps going. Seems to be a little bit in the distance though, and I'm right next to a pretty tall mountain, so no worries there. Not too bad this far. Everything is soaked though, and the only thing about that I'm a little worried about is how my blisters are going to do if my feet end up getting entirely soaked. Definitely not there yet though, but it's a risk. Well, keep on trucking. So pretty, even in the rain. Yeah, it's just solid raining now. And it's, what, 7 something? 7:10. So, in 3 hours it's supposed to start raining. Yep.
The rain kept on increasing in intensity, but the trail soon turned into a road walk, allowing me to keep good pace.
Alright, GoPro's being messy. Think maybe it doesn't like the temperature. Road walk, heck yeah. You know what? It's really pouring down now. I am so happy that I didn't have to do that bouldery section I did yesterday, today. Because that would have sucked. It sucked bad enough with dry rocks. Yeah, it looks like I won't be able to do much filming today. Wow.
The roadwalk brought me to the small settlement of Lövvik and its marina, where there was a self-service guest house where I could stop and use the bathroom. My rain jacket was doing a great job, but my hiking pants aren't waterproof. Their water resistance was no match for a downpour of this magnitude, and my lower body was absolutely soaked through. I stood for a moment on the porch of the guest house looking out over the water. It was raining so hard that visibility was next to nothing at this point. I had completed 5 kilometers for the day in just over an hour, and now it was time for my last section of the hike, 9.8 kilometers in the pouring rain, difficulty demanding, estimated to take 5 to 6 hours of hiking. If this section had anything like the boulder field from yesterday, this could get real bad.
Okay, pretty quickly turned off from the road, and according to the elevation map, there's a 100 meter climb now, then back down, then like a 70 meter climb, and then back down, and then home stretch. Okay, this would be fun. The trail is a muddy mess. Excuse the thunder.
My GoPro was refusing to record more than 10 seconds at a time here, but what I was saying was that since the trail was pretty overgrown, my legs scraped along all the vegetation along the sides, picking up all the water from them and helpfully funneling all of it down into my shoes. Other than that, the trail was not all that bad.
Starting to get closer to the top of that first climb. Yep. That's the trail. Pools of water and slippery rocks. Done with the climb. I don't like this. I think there's a shelter here. Okay.
Something was off though. I was missing a distance marker, and when I finally hit the next one, it said 9, not 8. Thinking back, I realized that the 10 kilometer marker was also inside a section supposedly 9.8 kilometers long, which doesn't make sense.
I think they might have snuck in a bonus kilometer on this section, and it's now raining so heavily that there's no view anywhere. And I really want to get off this mountain.
So not only had the forecast been entirely off and I was hiking the entire way through an absolute downpour, the trail was missigned from the 10 kilometer mark, and the first section was actually 10.8 kilometers, not 9.8. That's not what I needed at all, and with the last few climbs and their following descent, both my knees were now hurting significantly. I tried to keep my spirit high and kept pushing. At this point I really didn't have much in the way of options.
That doesn't look too easy. Ugh. Nice view though. Or would have been. When we reach the second climb, I am saturated. Still no 10, by the way. Embrace the suck. Hey.
I walked a trail that looked more like a stream than a trail, which then turned into a boardwalk, then back to a trail for the last big descent. At this point I was in a fair bit of pain and also starting to get rather cold from the constant soaking rain. By the time 10 o'clock rolled around, I had done 11.5 kilometers. If everything had gone to plan, I would only have had to hike 3.5 kilometers in the rain. Instead, I had hiked all of it in the rain, and now had 4.5 kilometers to go. The trail turned gravel road, which normally I would have appreciated because it meant I could keep my pace up. But at this point, my soaked feet were hurting from a long and hard hike already, and I still could not take any break because there was simply no mercy from the weather. The gravel soon became tarmac, and a long bridge appeared in the distance, a huge arch that I would have to climb. Every step brought a new jolt of pain through my feet, and yet I kept going because there was no alternative. The bridge, of course, also meant I was entirely exposed to a harsh wind driving the rain into my side. The only small ray of hope was that the High Coast Bridge was now visible in the distance, the end goal of my journey.
Would have been a nice view any other day. Oh, the horror. The only place I'm not actively being rained on is onto the freeway. Oh.
For several kilometers I forced myself to take step after painful step along the tarmac, until finally the last kilometer turned into a forest trail that started the final climb. Then a gravel road, and finally a scramble up a slope of exposed rock to the parking lot. It seems weird now to not be able to share these last moments with you. Despite having more than 50% battery left, the GoPro was now entirely refusing to turn on at all, so I have no footage of the last kilometer. You'd think I'd feel a sense of triumph over having completed what I'd set out to do, but this last section can only be described as pure misery, and I felt pretty empty inside as I walked up the parking lot, dropped my pack, and dug out my car keys. My only emotion, a hint of relief. I had completed this last section in less than 4 hours. I changed into as much as I could of my dry camp clothes, but was still pretty soaked. With my car heater set to 28 degrees, the journey home began. In hindsight, it's obvious that I wasn't in shape to do what I did, and that I pushed myself far beyond a comfortable limit. I learned a lot, and despite all the pain and effort involved, there's a simplicity in waking up every day with an obvious goal, and only physical effort separating you from overcoming the obstacles in front of you, that I long back to. I am happy I thru-hiked the trail, but now I really need to get myself in better shape before I attempt anything like that again. Thank you for joining me in my journey. I hope you've enjoyed it and found some inspiration to find your own adventure.